welcome to the NewsX Sunday Guardian Roundtable. Well, today we're going to be talking about something that affects each and every one of us, which is technology. If used rightly, it's a big help, but if it's used wrongly, then it can harm. And it can also be used to scam others. In fact, I want to narrate something that happened to me, which is actually the trigger for this conversation. Uh, 2 days ago, I got a call, and we've been reading all the WhatsApp messages warning us, but somehow, when one is busy doing other things, one is not really focusing. The call came at 7 p.m., which is again a time where you're winding down, saying that they're calling from Airtel and they want to do my KYC. And that otherwise my phone will be disconnected. Now you know what happens to a journalist who is without a telephone. So I tried to argue, saying, "Main kal chale jaungi, I'll go to the Airtel office." But they kept saying, "We can't help it. We sent you mails, you have responded, blah, blah, blah." Very convincing, very, normal speaking person. So at the end of the day, long story short, I did believe them, and they wanted me to download this app called Quick Team Support app. And they said, "Hum kuch nahi chahiye information, aap hi download kar lo, aur we will not ask you any of your private information." That again, I said, okay. So I downloaded the app, and there was some number which the guy also knew, and I read off that number to him. Then he said, settings mein jao. And in the settings, something flagged me off, thank God, which says that allow somebody else the remote control of your phone. That is what set the alarm bells ringing. And I quickly backed out. I uninstalled the phone, and I cut the phone, uninstalled the app. But then I didn't know how much I had been compromised, or what to do next. If you uninstall the app, is it still there in some cloud somewhere, or is it off your phone? What do you do? And in my panic, I called someone who I've also asked to come on the show, Dr. Jayajit Bhattacharya. He's the president at the Center for Digital Economy Policy Research, and also a very familiar face on Roundtable, somebody who's the go-to person for anything, any trouble that you're in. So he's a good person. And joining us also Utsav Mittal. He's a cyber security and a forensics expert. So these two, welcome both of you. And you heard my story, Jayajit. So just the do's and don'ts, what would have happened if I'd actually given him access, and how would I have protected myself from that?
Yeah, it's actually a very tough thing. In fact, I'll wait for Utsav to also go through what he calls as cyber hygiene, which is a very structured way of looking at how to make sure that you don't fall prey. But, Priya, unfortunately, the way they reach out to you is very, very sophisticated. It's getting more and more sophisticated. Just to take the conversation forward in terms of the app itself. So they asked you to download the app, and fortunately, something in the app said that you need to give that
control
consent, that control. So they asked for the consent because those are checks and balances that our operating systems within the phones have built in. Be it iOS, be it Android, they have built in these things. So it protects you to an extent. Now, in spite of being highly educated and aware, you did reach out to that level, where you are almost one click away from giving away your information. In many cases, you will be in a hurry. You're getting out of the car, you are, getting into the studio, and you will say, fine, let me just get off with it and let me do it. And that's when one really falls prey. But also, most of what we see from our financial systems analysis is it's usually the older people who fall prey to it, because they don't have the support system, they don't have the awareness, and they go through it. Also, we have seen systems like Pegasus, where they really don't need your consent. And I've seen cases after cases where the application is actually installed in your phone and your screen goes jittery, and then you see OTPs coming in and it's getting read and sent somewhere in the back. And tons of money have been siphoned out. For a old pensioner, 4 or 5 lakhs getting siphoned out is very, very significant money. And we have been seeing those cases. I think some of the basic rules is that please don't entertain anyone who says, please do something over the phone. It doesn't happen. You have seen you have to go to bank to do the KYC. They would not do it online. You can't do KYCs for telecom, for banks, and so on and so forth. However, there are many other sophisticated phishing mechanisms. Phishing essentially means how you use social engineering or the way you talk to make sure that information comes out. So if you put up an ad on, let's say, Magic Bricks or OLX, you'll find somebody calls you up and says, hey, I'm in a hurry. I'm at the airport. I'm working in the military or CRPF and so on. Typically, it's some military organization. And I really like your place. So give me an hour. I'll get it checked with my commandant and come back. And you're asking, what is your rank? And they'll say, I'm a Subedar. Now, Subedar affording an expensive place itself should start ringing off the bells. And then they come back and say, hey, I'm really in a hurry. I like the pictures you have sent and I just want to pay you immediately. Don't let greed overtake you. It doesn't happen. Nobody's going to take an apartment or a place by just seeing pictures. So greed is the other thing that one really needs to keep under control. And you should not jump into transactions. Nobody can stop you. You are a free citizen of the country. Nobody can snatch away your bank account or your telecom connectivity without giving you sufficient time. Even when the RBI came in, and unfortunately, many of these phishing is related to RBI's freezing of accounts, but they gave enormous amount of time for people to go back and do their KYCs. It did not happen that today is the last day and you must do it. And we are aware of many such patterns of how these frauds happen, and they fall into 4 or 5 patterns and can easily be captured. I'll just stop over here, and I would like to hear about from the other panelists and come back and add in terms of what are the different kinds of phishing that happens, what are the patterns, and how we should protect ourselves.
So thanks, Debbie.
Yeah, Utsav, the points that you listed for digital hygiene,
Sure.
I think you called it. That's something if you could share with us.
Sure. So I think my friend has beautifully explained a lot of attacks which are happening across. Now I have been seeing these kinds of attack evolving day by day, and every year there are new techniques, new tactics which are used by attackers to fraud, a lot of people across the country, across the world. So I am going to give you certain pointers. I'm going to give you understanding, how you can avoid those. So if you follow these, I would say silver bullets, then, you would be quite safe, even if you're not aware about magic brick attack or app attack or any kind of attack. So you should be safe. So one of the thing is all the frauds happen because of trust. So first thing that I would like to tell you is default, do not trust. So something we call as a zero trust security. So zero trust is your keyword. So do not trust. I repeat, do not trust. Second thing which I would like to mention is that whenever you are getting any call, any kind of message, any kind of request, you need to understand that all these. So your mobile phone nowadays is like your home, and whenever somebody shows up at your home, you do not entertain him. So mobile phone has all your bank accounts, your data, your information, your password, everything is in your mobile phone. So mobile phone is your second home. So consider your mobile phone as your, digital home. Let's take it that way. So do not let anyone enter. And how do attackers enter? By calls, by messages, by emails. So if you have that framework in mind, so you can definitely be, in a better, position. So by default, human beings are very trusting in nature. Social engineers. So whatever we do, whatever, my friend was discussing, about the magic brick attack, about the Paytm attack, the KYC attack, all these, they exploit certain weaknesses, and I'm telling you those weaknesses. So first weakness is the inherent trusting nature of human beings. Second nature is false sense of security. You think that the person is not physical in front of me, so he can't do much. I do not have credit card on my mobile phone. I should be okay. No, your mobile phone is as important as your own home. So as you would not allow it, do not let that happen. Third thing that, like the third vulnerability or the third feature of a social engineering attack is immediacy, exigency. Like they will always tell you, you need to do it immediately, as Priya was mentioning. So, it will like, no, you have to do it right away. Otherwise, your account will go. So what happens? Even if the account is closed, you can still go to the bank and get it reactivated, isn't it? Do not. So, you will lose this offer. So these social engineering attacks, they always have that characteristics. So first thing is do not trust, do not let them enter. If they are showing that exigency, it's fine. It's better you can go and physically visit. No problem. So that is another characteristics. Fourth thing that you will see is they will try to earn your trust. So I will call Priya and I will say, hi Priya, and this is your mobile number and this is your address. So that instantly, so I'm calling from, let's say, ABC Bank, and Priya, this is your mobile number and this is your address, and I'm calling from this branch. So now, Priya, so they give you a kind of an iota of incomplete information so that they can win your trust. So do not trust, and always verify from the bank. So that's what I would say on the framework that I would say.
Good pointers. Thank you, Utsav. But Jaydeep, supposing I had downloaded the app, how do I know my phone is? How do I know my phone is compromised? I did download the app, but if I, you had told me something, your screen will shimmer, you'll start getting OTPs. How do you know that you've been compromised?
That happens in some cases. So I'm talking about one specific attack where the screen shimmers. But in most cases, you will get to know because you'll start getting messages saying so many lakhs of rupees taken away from your bank account. So that's a clear giveaway. In fact, even before that, you'll start getting OTPs, which are getting automatically read from your phone. And thereafter, you will see messages coming from the bank saying your money is going out. And it happens very, very quickly. So you will get to know. Now, what also happens, and I'll just amplify what Utsav was mentioning, is that the reason you start trusting is because these people who are calling you up were actually working in real call centers. They were actually working in a bank. They were actually working in a telecom center. And these call centers were outsourced. So they know very, very confidently how to speak, what to say, what is the usual procedure. And therefore, it gets actually very difficult to respond. And therefore, one of the larger guru mantras, I would say, is that don't do anything digitally with a person that you don't know. As again, Utsav mentioned, there is no hurry to do a KYC for a bank. There's no hurry for responding to a phone call or so on and so forth. And third, don't fall for greed. Greed is one of the key reasons why we start trusting, because you want to believe that your apartment is going to go for rent at 1.5x the money, or something that you put up for sale. Let's say your television. An old television is selling at 10,000 rupees that you bought at 12,000 rupees. Those things don't happen in real life. So if somebody is in a hurry to pay you, be very careful. The third point is that you don't scan a QR code to receive money. Many of these people send you a QR code and say, now you will receive money. That doesn't happen. You scan a QR code only to make a payment. So these are some of the things that exist as of now, which is February 2022. I'm very, very certain by March 2022, there'll be many new kinds of phishing that will come up. And therefore, the larger guru mantras needs to be kept in mind that don't let greed take over. Don't do anything digitally online, which is sensitive, and don't be in a hurry to do a transaction.
So supposing I do lose money, will the bank reimburse me because you've been conned out of it, or the bank will blame me for it?
So now RBI, Reserve Bank of India, has very clear set of directions for all these payment organizations. So if you are informing your bank within a certain point, within a certain timeline, the bank will reimburse your money. So there is a RBI ombudsman, and where you can go and say give a complaint that okay, this is what has happened with me. And if you are able to prove that it is not your fault, then bank will reimburse money. So we have seen cases of banks getting the money of the user back. Secondly, there is also a cyber crime helpline. So so government has launched a very good initiative recently, and you can call that helpline, and you can also submit your complaint online. If anything like this happens, so you don't have to even go to your police station. You simply can put your complaint over there, and so that you have a record that okay, this has happened. So, but I would now also additionally like to mention that things are still underplay. Most of the users, they still do not get their money back. The things are moving on in the right direction, but I have seen family, friends losing lakhs worth of rupees, and unfortunately, even we tracked that transaction in real time, but still, it like the ideal cash out time. Like suppose someone steals 45,000 rupees from your account, and you will be surprised to know the velocity of the transaction is less than 15 minutes. Like we tracked one fraud in real time, and 45,000 rupees were hacked from a user's account, UPI fraud, and they were instantly taken out from an ATM of some third bank. So that's how fast they are. So, there's a complete highly syndicated syndicate in play. So a person will be talking you on phone, will be having a conversation with you on phone. Another person right away is standing at the ATM just to get that money out. So an IMPS transaction typically takes like the whole, transaction, triple banks will take less than 5 minutes. So you need to be very aware. So I would also like to mention something about insurances. So there are cyber insurances available, and which can definitely protect you against these frauds, and they are quite affordable and pocket friendly. I have taken insurance from one of the vendors. So
That's
hope
at
that
least.
helps.
Yes, it does help. That is reassuring to note. But the other thing, Jay, a lot of people do is they say, "Acha, you give us, 1 rupee or something, make some transaction." That's another way of conning you. And
Absolutely. In fact, not just 1 rupee. We have come across cases where they pay you actually 100 rupees.
huh.
And they say you scan the QR code, and the moment you scan it, you'll have 100 rupees deposited in your account. So what basically happens is that 100 rupees gets deducted from your account, and they transfer back 200 rupees to your account, and therefore you're happy, saying that you got 100 rupees more. And they say that's how it works. That's a new system, and people fall for it. So there is serious investments going into it, because many a times other person says, well, I'm still not convinced, and pockets the extra 100 rupees and keeps it. Unfortunately, the initiatives that Utsav just mentioned of the cyber helpline and so on, in reality, if you go and try it out, it's highly, highly friction, unfortunately so. And you are not able to actually put through your complaint without going through loops and hoops. Now, the reason I'm mentioning that is that, having run a fintech company called, CardSay, we are aware that it's algorithmically possible to stop 95% of the frauds happening in this country if only all the financial institutions can get together. Because we know that when a fraudster is trying, they will come across 20 Priyas before they get their victim. So 20 people will stop them, and then only the 21st will fall victim. So we can keep track of that, and we are in a position to start reporting it to a centralized system. But we're not able to report because there is no centralized system. What we would really like to do and have, and somebody taking up the initiative from the government side, is where there is a reporting system where the moment you get a fraud number, like the one that you got, Priya, and you can simply send it out saying suspected fraud. And same is what fintech companies can do. And that information goes to those who are letting the payment go out, because then they can know that this payment was initiated from a number where 20, 30 people have said it's suspicious. So they won't stop it. They will basically temporarily block it, check it up, call up the person, and make sure that it's a kosher transaction, and then let it go. So you're not really violating anybody's privacy. You're not violating anyone's fundamental rights. It's absolutely over the board, and you're protecting 1.45 lakh people, because that's a number of people who were defrauded last year. And these are RBI numbers, and these are reported ones. There are millions who would not have reported. So if 1.45 lakh people reported cyber fraud, there are many, many who did not report. And it is our duty and responsibility to make sure that they're all protected. And therefore, such systems are absolutely necessary. And algorithmically, we can stop a bunch of these frauds from happening.
And does Truecaller help, Jayjit, if you say fraud number or something on Truecaller? That's also one step.
That is one step, but clearly, it is not Truecaller's responsibility. They are helping out, and they're doing a fantastic job. So we must appreciate that. But it is not, that information is not going to a Paytm or a Bharat Pay or a CardSay and so on and so forth. We are not getting that information in a programmatic manner, because then we can feed it to our fraud detection algorithms, and we can stop the payments from going out. And that is the orchestration we would need. So Truecaller is doing one part of the transaction, but it needs to have a larger system, just like you have UPI, right? Everybody's plugging into UPI, and bank-to-bank exchange is happening. Similarly, everybody needs to plug into a fraud system, which is the key players and stakeholders needs to plug into a fraud system, and then ensure that fraud does not happen.
What's up? Do you want to add something? Yeah.
Yes. So, Jayjit, I definitely would like to add on to what you said. So, in fact, what you are mentioning, we were, talking to certain industry experts, and our organization works with over 100 fintech players, all the big ones. And So, right now the problem, if we go to the root cause of the problem, is that the velocity of money transfer is almost real time, but the velocity of the fraud detection is not at all there. So the government needs to set up something. So government has set up immediate mobile payment system. So government needs to set up something we call as immediate mobile fraud detection system. Like we have RTGS, real time gross settlement. So we need to have real time fraud detection, and that's the only way. And as Jayjeet said, there are expert systems available. AI can be used who can actually flag those transactions. So that is definitely the way forward. Having said that, I would also like to add on to that, like Priya mentioned, Truecaller. So Truecaller works on something we call as crowdsourcing, crowdsourced intelligence. Like if 10 people say that this guy is fraud, then other people will know. So this cybercrime helpline, the main concept behind cybercrime helpline is crowdsourcing. So basically, that is the idea from the government. Like what we have seen, many people when they are reporting, so these numbers are fraud, then this database goes to the government and to the agencies, and they take action. So instead of going one transaction at a time, they are going for the whole syndicate, and a lot of success has been. So we have to start. I would say lot needs to be done. I already mentioned, but I have seen many successes of the government, and but a lot needs to be done. So that's what I would say on that. So I would again mention that real time fraud detection is the key, and I think NPCI is the one. So a bank, so ultimately all the transactions goes via NPCI, which is National Payment Corporation of India. So these guys are the central authority, and I have also worked with like a couple of people from NPCI. So now ultimately NPCI needs to get that intelligence to the fintech players, to the banks. So that's what the action needs to happen. And I think efforts are underway, and let's hope for the best. And one more thing I would like to mention, in fintech, India is a front runner. Like if you talk about US, they take around 2 days. Like they have ACH transactions. In India, everything is real time. Now it has gone 24 hours. So we are basically front runners in the world in fintech. So we need to have our own systems, even for fraud detection, fraud management. And as my friend Jayjeet mentioned, if that things are into place, then the transaction can be stopped midway. Banks can flag those transactions.
There is anything to add? And also, should then one not keep your banking apps on the phone? Should just one clean the phone and not? Jayajit, would that help? Or Utsav? No, both of you
No,
are shaking your heads.
I'm not advocating that you don't use digital systems. In fact, when I used to take my classes at IIT, where I'm a adjunct professor, one of the questions I would ask is that which is the most secure system in the world, organization in the world, and people would say Mossad and RAW and so on. And I would say, well, it's actually Al Qaeda, because they did not use any digital system. And only once they made a phone call, and that's what led to Osama bin Laden getting killed. So, I'm not for a moment advocating that stay away from digital. Use trusted apps, which means if there is a bank who has given you the app, stay within the app. But don't listen to somebody who's calling you up and then asking you to do something on your phone, right? And don't keep your passwords in the phone, and so on and so forth, right? So you please do use your apps, and I'm saying that to your audience. Please continue to use the trusted apps once that banks have given. Make sure you don't download spoofed apps, and you'll get to know it's a spoof. If the number of downloads of that app is very low, you'll know it's a spoof app. And by spoof, I mean a copy of the real app. So make sure you don't have a copy of the real app. Use the real app. Possibly go to the bank and ask them which one is the real app, and ensure that that is used. And then do not download apps that has been suggested by anyone else. I would go to the extent that please do not download any other games and so on. If you're using a phone for banking purposes, don't mix up serious apps with flippant apps, because typically, again, the games and other flippant apps will have, may have malware in it, which may interfere with your existing apps. Also, all that we're saying is based on the current state of art as of February 2022. As we saw that there are zero-click apps like Pegasus, right? And so if there are criminals who get access to the Pegasus technology, then everything that I'm saying is useless. And we should just stop using phones post that. And then your suggestion that, should we stop using these apps, and my answer will be yes, then stop using the apps, because then you can't protect yourself. Unless the Android operating system and the iPhone operating systems then plug the holes which lets these technologies such as Pegasus get into your phone and start accessing things that they should not be accessing.
On that note, I think the smartest thing about smartphones has to be you then, the user. And there's a lesson for me and for all of us on that note. But thank you for this conversation. I've learned a lot, and I do hope the viewers have also, because this is something we're hearing a case almost every day. It's getting that bad.
Yeah.
But I hope to get you all back in again in March for that update, Jayjeet. As you said, this information is only so good for now. So thank you both, Utsav and Jayjeet, for this conversation.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.